Hey guys, my name is John. I'm a travel specialist here at Discover Corps, and last year I had the privilege of going on the Costa Rica the Sea Turtle Initiative trip. So before going on this trip, I did have expectations. I've had some friends go to Costa Rica and there was a lot of hype about the country itself. So I was very excited about it. I did have high expectations, and those expectations actually were exceeded, especially in regards to the biodiversity, the wildlife of the country. Everyone always talks about that, but I didn't realize how rampant it actually is. I mean, you'll be standing in a parking lot and see 3 different types of butterfly. So I was very happy to see that it did live up to the hype, and I was also very happy to see that Costa Rica itself does a lot to preserve what they have as far as nature and wildlife, and you see that in the way that people act. So the expectations were exceeded in that regard. So as far as the most memorable part of this trip for me, it's always hard to choose, but I can definitely say it was my first night going out on night patrol while working with the sea turtle hatchery. So you all, gather together, you meet on the beach, and you start to walk down the beach. Completely pitch dark. You have your red light headlights on, and you're just walking down the beach with the hatchery staff, waiting to basically find those turtle tracks as they work their way up the sand, up to the top of the sand to lay their eggs. It took us not that long, maybe 30 minutes or so, to find those tracks, and we found a nesting Oliver Lee sea turtle right there. I was really excited about the group that I got because there was a young boy on our trip around 10 years old. He was incredibly passionate about sea turtles. I think he knew more about sea turtles than anyone on the trip. So he was with us, and it was really cool seeing him because I saw him during the day, acting like a normal kid, kind of just playing around. But that night, it was like game time. He just looked so focused, like he'd almost done this before, like he was with the hatchery staff. So as soon as we saw that turtle, you kind of hang back, you wait for them to dig the nest. Once they're done digging, they kind of stop moving. The turtle goes into a trance at that point, so they're not very aware of their surroundings. You can approach them right away. So you go up to the turtle, you start to gather measurements. So we have travelers gathering measurements of the turtle. You're working on that as it's laying its eggs. Then that young boy, he actually got the job of gathering those eggs, little like ping pong sized ball eggs, out of the nest, and gathering those, putting them in a bag because we're going to bring them back to the hatchery. And it was just cool seeing his face. It was lit up, but it was also very focused because it was real, and he was having that experience. So I was just hanging back, taking all of this in. The different travelers had different jobs at that point, but I was just hanging back, and it was one of those moments you get while traveling where you're just like, where am I? You're just this huddle of people with this red glow around this crazy creature laying its eggs on this secluded beach in Costa Rica. You have the waves crashing in the background, and that will always be remembered by me, and I'm sure that kid as well. So this trip was a new experience to me. I have traveled throughout the world a lot more like on the backpacker track of things, and so I never really did have an experience like working with an organization, especially a conservation organization abroad. So that was brand new to me, and I enjoyed it entirely. First of all, it's just a great way to meet people who live in Costa Rica. I mean, these are people who are there year-round, and it really is an education because there's no substitute for the real thing. So you can read articles on conservation, which I do. You can read those all day long, but it's not the same as just going there and seeing the people on the ground and seeing the reality of things. So it was really cool meeting them, getting to chat with them about the problems they face, the problems that the animals face, and just having that part of a travel experience. I had never really had that before. So moving beyond the sea turtles, there were 2 other activities that actually caught me by surprise on this trip. First one was going out to visit Jungle Mike at his outdoor butterfly farm. I always thought that part of the itinerary was maybe like for kids or just kind of a short excursion. I didn't think too much about it, but it actually turned out to be a highlight for me, mostly because of Jungle Mike. This guy is just hilarious. He's a complete character, but he's also a hyper-intelligent person. He's worked for the US military and NASA, actually working with honey, which I didn't know was an option, but he has a huge past working with insects, so he knows all about the creepy crawlies of Costa Rica, but also the wildlife in general. So you go out on a jungle walk with him, and it's just a really cool experience. So I liked that. The second experience that I really appreciated was we visited a local fishing village on this trip, and it was really cool to hear from them what their relationship with the sea is. Especially after working with the hatchery, during the night patrols, hearing from people who have lived off of the sea for generations and kind of painting that non-idealist picture of what conservation can look like and what sustainable development and sustainable practices are in a country that does need the sea to live as well. So if I had to sum up what makes this trip different than other trips that are out there, or just traveling in general, I will say that there's a lot of things I could list. Of course, working with the hatchery is an incredible experience, and it's a connection there. Also going out and visiting Jungle Mike, the fishing village, all of those things are incredible. But for me personally, I'm always nervous to join a group. I'm always kind of nervous, like what the group dynamic will be, who will be in this group, and if we'll get along. But the cool thing with Discover Corps is it's a certain type of person that gravitates towards this type of trip and this type of travel. And so, despite having different belief systems or backgrounds, you're from different parts of the country, it seems to always work out. I know this from speaking with travelers during my job and also on this trip. People have that common desire to give back and travel meaningfully, and that comes through. So I was happy to see that, and I think that really makes Discover Corps different. One thing I would say to anyone considering this trip and they're not quite sure, they're kind of on the fence about it, I will say that regardless of your interest in sea turtles, or even conservation for that matter, this is a great way to see Costa Rica. I'll say honestly, like going into this trip, I didn't have like a strong passion for sea turtles, anything like that. But it's really, you get to see a lot of Costa Rica. You're on a beautiful beach when you're at the hatchery, and that experience working with the turtles is really cool. It's something that not a lot of people going to Costa Rica have. So, regardless of your interest in those turtles or anything like that, it's a great way to travel in Costa Rica, and you'll have a phenomenal time regardless. So that is some of my experiences on this trip, but I could talk about it all day long. If you have any questions at all, or if you just want more details, just give me a call. I'm happy to walk through it and really tell you my full experience.